America loves truckers. We sing songs about them, celebrating their journeys and the open road. We make movies about them, romanticizing their adventures and the freedom they represent. We rely on them for, well, pretty much everything. They're the backbone of this country, hauling goods across state lines, keeping the economy moving, ensuring that our shelves are stocked and our needs are met. But here's the thing about backbones. They're often taken for granted, unseen and unappreciated until something goes wrong. The trucking industry, for all its romance and freedom, has a dark side, a side that many choose to ignore. This isn't about bad drivers or dangerous roads. It's about bad deals and even worse companies, ones that prioritize profit over people. It's about exploitation, plain and simple, where the hardworking individuals are squeezed dry. This is a story about owner-operators, independent contractors, the folks who own their rigs and answer to no one, except maybe the people who control the money. And increasingly, those people aren't playing fair. They're manipulating the system to their advantage. They're using shady contracts, hidden fees, and outright lies to squeeze every last drop of profit out of these hard-working men and women. They're using complex legal jargon and fine print to trap drivers in unfavorable conditions. We're talking about wage theft on a massive scale, where drivers are denied their rightful earnings. We're talking about lease purchase agreements that are designed to make drivers fail, agreements that seem promising but are loaded with pitfalls. We're talking about an industry where the American dream of owning your own business can quickly turn into a financial nightmare, where independence comes at a steep cost. Buckle up, folks, because we're about to take a long haul through the underbelly of the trucking industry, exposing the harsh realities that many face. And trust us, it ain't pretty. The road ahead is rough, but it's a journey we need to take to understand the true cost of the open road. Let's talk about lease purchase agreements. Sounds fancy, right? Like something you'd hear on Wall Street, not on the open road. Here's the pitch. You, aspiring trucker, can become an owner-operator without the hassle of a big down payment. Just lease a truck from a company, make your payments, and eventually it's all yours. Sounds like the American dream, right? Well, hold on to your mud flaps because this dream often turns into a nightmare. See, these lease purchase agreements are often loaded with hidden fees and impossible terms. The weekly payments are sky high, eating into your already thin profit margins. And if you miss even one payment, well, say goodbye to your truck and all the money you've sunk into it. It's like renting to own from a company that's actively rooting for you to default. These companies know that many drivers are desperate for a chance to be their own boss. They prey on that desperation, locking them into contracts that are designed to keep them trapped in a cycle of debt. Imagine driving endless miles, thinking you're working towards ownership, only to realize you're just treading water. The fine print is a maze of legal jargon, making it nearly impossible to understand what you're really signing up for. Many drivers end up seeking financial advice, only to find out they're in deeper than they thought. The stress doesn't just stay on the road, it follows you home, affecting your family and personal life. Missed payments lead to penalties, and penalties lead to more debt, creating a vicious cycle that's hard to break. And let's not forget maintenance costs. If your truck breaks down, you're still on the hook for payments, even if you're not earning. So, before you sign that lease purchase agreement, take a long, hard look at the road ahead. It might not lead where you think it will. Here's another kick in the mud flaps for our hardworking truckers: low shipping rates. See, the companies that hire truckers to haul their goods often play hardball when it comes to negotiating prices. They know that there's a lot of competition out there, with drivers desperate for loads to fill their trucks. So what do? They drive down the rates, squeezing every last penny out of the drivers. And the drivers, desperate to make ends meet, have no choice but to accept these lowball offers. It's a race to the bottom. And guess who always loses? This constant pressure to accept low rates makes it nearly impossible for drivers to earn a decent living, let alone save up for repairs, maintenance, or that dream of owning their truck outright. We all feel the pinch at the pump, but imagine filling up an 18-wheeler. Fuel costs are a major expense for truckers, and the constant fluctuations in price can make it impossible to budget accurately. One week, diesel might be relatively affordable, and the next, it's through the roof. It's enough to give even the most seasoned trucker whiplash. Now we know what you're thinking. That's just the market, right? Supply and demand? Well, maybe. But there's also evidence to suggest that oil companies and other players in the fuel market are manipulating prices to maximize their profits. And who do you think gets stuck footing the bill for their greed? That's right, our friends behind the wheel. Section 5. Maintenance mayhem, keeping those wheels turning and your wallet empty. Trucks are machines, and machines break down. It's inevitable, no matter how well you maintain them. It's just a fact of life. But here's the thing. Repairing a truck isn't like fixing your old Honda Civic. The complexity and scale of truck repairs are on a whole different level. We're talking about specialized parts, long hours of labor, and costs that can quickly add up to thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. Each part is designed to handle the immense stress and load that trucks endure daily. And that's assuming you're not stuck on the side of the road, miles from the nearest mechanic, losing precious time and income while you wait for a tow. The downtime can be devastating, especially for independent drivers. Now, some companies might offer maintenance assistance or discounts on parts, but those are often just more ways to keep drivers trapped in their web of control. These programs can be restrictive and come with their own set of challenges. Remember those lease purchase agreements we talked about? Yeah, those often come with mandatory maintenance packages that sound good on paper, but end up costing drivers an arm and a leg. Hidden fees and unexpected costs can quickly drain your finances, making it hard to stay afloat. Section 6. SAP drivers, stuck in the slow lane. Let's talk about SAP drivers for a minute. SAP stands for Student Air Program, and it's a way for aspiring truckers to get their CDLs and gain experience. Sounds like a good deal, right? Well, it can be, but it can also be another way for companies to exploit drivers. See, SAP drivers are often placed with companies that treat them like cheap labor. They're given the worst routes, the oldest trucks, and the lowest pay. And because they're still learning the ropes, they're more likely to accept these poor conditions, fearing that speaking up might jeopardize their future careers. It's a classic catch-22. They need experience to get ahead, but the experience they're getting is holding them back. Section 7. The ripple effect, families on the sidelines. Here's the thing about trucking. It's not just a job, it's a lifestyle. Drivers spend days, weeks, even months on the road, away from their families and loved ones. They miss birthdays, holidays, school plays, all those precious moments that make life worth living. And for what? To barely scrape by? To be treated like disposable cogs in a giant, uncaring machine? The exploitation in the trucking industry doesn't just affect the drivers. It ripples outward, impacting their families, their communities, and ultimately all of us. When drivers are struggling to make ends meet, their families feel the pinch. Kids might go without new clothes or school supplies. Spouses might have to work extra hours to make up for lost income. The stress and anxiety can take a toll on relationships, leading to arguments, resentment, and even divorce. Section 8. A call for unity, honking our horns in unison. So what can be done about this mess? Well, the first step is for drivers to realize that they're not alone. There are thousands of others out there facing the same struggles, the same injustices. It's time to stop seeing each other as competition and start seeing each other as comrades, as brothers and sisters in arms. It's time to unite and demand better. Drivers need to start talking to each other, sharing their stories, and organizing. They need to stand up to the companies that are exploiting them and demand fair treatment. They need to push for higher shipping rates, better contracts, and an end to the shady practices that are keeping them down. Section 9. Government intervention, getting the feds on the CB radio. Now we know what you're thinking. Government intervention? That never works. And you're right. Sometimes it doesn't. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try. The government has a responsibility to protect workers from exploitation, and that includes truck drivers. We need stricter regulations on lease purchase agreements, clearer guidelines on shipping rates, and more support for drivers who are struggling. We need to close the loopholes that allow companies to get away with wage theft and other shady practices. Write to your representatives. Call your senators. Let them know that this is an issue you care about.